to In the Ring with Termite and Mr. S. Mr. S, we got a great one today.
We got another one. So today we have with us Scott McAllister, who is the founder, president of Coastal Ice. And he's going to tell you a little bit about how he became this big success story. And we're going to have him share some of the details about, how he got there. And it's always not easy sailing, and there's going to be some bumps. So we're going to hear some of this.
Okay.
Oh, yes, sir.
So, Scott, tell us a little bit about how you got started in life and what brought you to Coastal Ice and Water.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Termite, Mr. S. So I was actually going to school, college, and studying finance, and Houston took a really downturn in the 80s through the oil collapse, and so that was kind of an eye-awakening moment. I was not only working for a bank, studying school, University of Houston, and our bank went down as well. Mm-hmm. It was taken over twice, actually failed twice, and
wow.
So that started to lead into I might need to start looking into another career. Yeah. It was a good journey, learned a lot. I would tell you probably one of the biggest experience I learned of that when I first went there, I was 15 years old. Wow. And for 6 months, the only thing that I did was gather documents for the bankruptcies. And I would, 15, carry that upstairs, the second floor to prep them for lawyers and all that. So that's probably one of the most pivotal points in my life of how to run a business was, you had millionaires in the oil industry, tubing facilities, guys that were probably highly leveraged, making a lot of money, planes, real estate ranches, and one day it was all over.
It's all gone.
It was all gone.
And you saw all that happen firsthand.
Saw it all that happen between 15 and 16 years old, and that was probably better than anything I learned in business school.
It was probably scary, but at the same time, like you said, better than anything you could have learned in a school.
Yes, because it was, it was a pivotal point in your life. You were thinking, how did someone this successful get ended overnight? And mm-hmm. it was being taken away from them. Even if they wanted to try to continue to plow their way through that, the decision was not theirs. It was federally regulated, state regulated. People were making decisions on their finances and bills based on risk, and mm-hmm. risk was not tolerated at that point very well because there was too much of it.
Yeah,
and so you had a lot of good people that lost everything overnight, and it was due to national things, global things, all of those things that were put into place, and they just didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Now, did you have entrepreneurship in your background, your family? Or did you just come out of? Did you want to go to school? What were your hopes and dreams? When you were a kid?
So my parents, they were my father and grandfather. They delivered cars to new dealerships. New mm-hmm. cars to dealerships. They were Teamsters. We thought we were middle class. We probably were not middle class. We were probably lower middle class. But we had a good life. And as I was 13 and 14, I worked in cold storage facilities in the summers. A friend of mine's father owned it. He was a meat and cheese guy. And I worked for him, and you learn really well, quickly that that's probably not a job you want to do for a lifetime.
It's a good place to work in summertime in Houston. You get to go in the chiller every now and then.
It is, but it was pretty brutal work.
Yeah.
And actually, I was very fortunate. That man changed my life. He took me in. About a year into it, he said, you're not really built for the warehouse. You work hard, you work strong. He said, you sales, that's where you're at. So he started taking me around.
He saw something in you.
Yeah, he did. It really took an interest. And he started taking me around with him, learn how to sell, go to the store, set things, things like that, simple things. And then we have always been very good friends. And so as the banking career looked like it was not going to happen, I would go to him all the time. What I do? I'd take him options. He said, no. Went to him one day and I said, hey, think about the ice business. He said, I can help you there. Because he had all the contacts in the grocery stores. Mm-hmm. And I picked up the phone, called a guy that owned several chains in Houston. He said, Scott wants to go in the ice business. And about 90 days later, I was in ice business with no knowledge of it whatsoever.
Wow.
Just took a gamble.
Where'd you pick? I mean, where did you come up with the ice business?
So going to the grocery stores, we see all the ice trucks all the time. Uh-huh. It's like, man, they're here. Every time I'm here, they're here. So they got to be selling a lot of product. And that's where it was. It was just a wild idea.
Just a quick observation.
Quick observation.
These guys are busy.
These guys are busy.
Mr. S., one of the things I'm seeing already is like some of our other stories that we've been able to present, there's somebody else in the picture that saw something in somebody. And you had somebody that kind of helped you looked up to, and it goes back to people helping people.
I was thinking the same because like you said, a lot of the people that come on our show, it is the same story of somebody saw something in me or encouraged me, and I think that's a good purpose of this show. We can be that to somebody else.
Yeah.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Coastal Ice and Water. When you need ice, when you need water, call Coastal Ice and Water. You want it brought to you professionally and on time and for the right price and all the good stuff, call Coastal Ice and Water.
And you can look it up online at coastal-ice.com.
I think it's true, and so I'm actually trying to do that myself now. You know, I'm picking the people that's good for us and work for our companies, encourage them, trying to get a career path for them, pay for some education to advance their careers with us, which increases their money intake when they can get to a different level.
It makes them feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And but actually, the bank I was working for financed it. You know, we're like, well, we had a career path for you. And I was like, well, it's not looking too well right now.
So at least you had that relationship. It came in handy.
It did.
Yeah.
And they were great guys. They supported me. We went out there, and the first year was a total nightmare. We like to actually grew ourselves into bankruptcy.
Share a little bit of that story, because a lot of people are, I call that hyper growth. You grow so fast, everybody thinks that's exciting, but it can really
it can damage you. You've really got to have a tolerance for what you can take on.
Yeah.
And can't say yes to everything.
Can't say yes to everything. We did, and what happened is we just outserviced the people that were in the industry. We worked hard. We outserviced, and so it started growing. And in the ice business, every new customer you have to purchase equipment to put in their facility. So every customer you're getting, and this is back in 1991, would cost you $3,000.
Oh, wow.
So you can try to grow, but it's an investment to grow.
Takes time to pay back that $3,000 that you invested for a new customer.
Absolutely. And the bank actually came to us. I lost a lot of weight, struggling, and they're like, "It's okay, file bankruptcy. File bankruptcy. We'll take it.
To you.
Yeah, and you need to come back." Wow. And I said, "No, I appreciate it. We borrowed the money. We're going to pay the money back. We're in this for the long run." And
good for you.
They stuck it out.
How much were you in the hole, if you don't mind me asking those details?
Oh, back then, I don't know, maybe $150,000.
But back then, it was like
that's a lot of money.
Phenomenal amount of money, right?
Exactly. You're 24, 25. You're in the industry, and I always tell everybody, whatever your challenge or you're wanting to do, if it's not some kind of tech new invention, someone else is already doing it.
Yeah.
You're competing against someone that has knowledge, might have been in the industry decades.
Yeah.
And you're walking in trying to figure it out all on your own. And hard work will take you a long ways, but hard work will also put a lot of toll on you.
Yeah.
And you can over-commit, and that's what we did. And we got to where we were selling more than we could manufacture. Then that became an issue. I had to partner with some other people and buy their product because, we were happy to grow. It was a successful story, but it was not a financial successful story.
Right.
Almost working yourself out of a job.
Yes. That's what you have to remember. What is the purpose of business, right? We're trying to grow. It's not just win. It's let's grow things financially, become more stable. And, you got ahead of yourself. Very
much so. And, I will say this. The bank, they did really stick it out with us. They said, if this is your dream, we're going to assist you. The long story short is as those banks actually started changing hands, and the guys that owned them, they would go buy more banks and sell them, and they went through this 2 or 3 times. So you lose some contact with people. You don't really know where they're ending up.
Relationships, not there anymore.
And I had one banker that was with me for a period of time, a couple of decades. The long story short is after I would say, somewhat made it, we were downtown in a bank's huge conference room, and I'm talking to the CEO. And he says, "Tell me your story." I'm walking him through the story. And he said, "Who was the banker that helped you?" And I said, "His name was Joe West." He said, "Joe West works here." He was their senior loan officer.
Oh, wow.
And they summons him up, and he comes in, and he looks at me, and he said, "I can't believe you're here. You to get in this room, you did okay."
Wow.
And I said, "Well, it hasn't been easy, and I appreciate you hanging in there with me because you're the one that really took the punishment. It was rough on me, but you stuck it out." And they really appreciate that story. And I'll tell you this, I don't want to get anybody in trouble with the bank's name, but the CEO said, "Give him what he wants," and it never went to loan committee. The CEO signed off on it.
Wow.
And they said, "We've never seen that."
And that's, I think, purely from the character that you displayed and you built that relationship. They didn't take a chance on numbers they saw on a piece of paper. They took a chance on Scott because they've seen. And I think that I want to emphasize, have character.
Yeah.
Just do everything that you're going to. I heard some saying that says, how you do anything is how you do everything. So when people say they cut corners, yeah, but when it really matters, I'm gonna do it better. That's not true. You do everything the same way, and it sounds like you did that. And when it came down to you needing something, they remembered.
Well, you know, I've known Scott for a while now, worked with him, and and he's one of the finest men in our industry. But speaking of industries, you know, I'm in the I was in the chemical plants and the refineries, stuff like that. I know you're there. Where else are you? And through here, let's tell people how they can get in touch with him.
Sure.
When, you know, as we're talking, you know, tell them how to contact you.
Well, obviously nowadays, you know, everybody tends to look at websites. So we're at coastal-ice.com. I will tell you, we have the girls answer the phones like they used to do, you know, in the old days.
good.
So you don't press 1, press 2 to get lost. You call us, somebody's going to answer the phone.
To get lost.
And that's important to us because service is the customer wants to feel important. The customer wants to feel appreciated. They want to know that you're taking care of them. And I think business has really lost a lot of that over the last few years, maybe decades. That automation, cutting corners. I'm not sure the public's really getting what they want or what they expect.
Suspicious of are people really service? It's just all they don't buy it.
No, and I think that's a lot of companies, you know, cutting corners financially to be. You know, I can't tell you who said this, but there's a quote somewhere that said, if you're making decisions based on money, you're probably making a bad one. Now, that's easier said than done
quote.
with people.
Interesting quote.
But it's probably not what the bank wants to hear. So you know, they want some structure and they want some financial percentage and numbers. And that's a tough thing to deal with as a business owner. We have 0 turnover. We're on our second generation employee.
That's incredible.
I'm on my first, third generation. I actually have the grandson of my first employee.
That is incredible.
And so you get patted on the back. You know, we've never seen this before. This is incredible. It's a small family business. You know, we're large scale, but you're a family business. You're not private equity. You're not owned any ways like that. But then you have the financial responsibilities to take care of that.
When did you start the company?
We started in 1991.
91.
I sold out to Ready Ice, was a national company in 96, worked for them for a period of time. I really wanted to go back out on my own. I like the service part of it and the sales part of it more than the corporate part of it.
Right.
So we still sell their brand, but we took it back out. And, you know, I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed the interactivity with the
When did you
customers.
take it back
building.
out?
2002.
Okay, so 2002, you've been back kind of on your own, you'd say.
Yes. And it's been a journey, you know, because once you get out of the industry, you know, you're losing some contacts or you're losing, and industry changes a lot. People that you knew 3 years ago are not there. They've retired, moved on. So it's kind of like starting all over again. But I had the history and I had the experience this time to go out. So it was a much better path. Not that there's not challenges, because we still fight the same principles of challenges and complications of business. It's capital when you need it. It's maybe facilities, things like that you may be making a living, but the demands for those financials to come in to be able to allow you to move forward are very difficult.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pressure on you as the individual to make those things happen.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things that I really enjoy about you, of course, I know you very well, but is that your employees love you. And we talked a little bit about a while ago with the different generations, but you've got a relationship with them and they love you. They love what they're doing. And your clients love you. And that's something that a lot of companies are not doing today. They're not building relationships. You know, they see each other through the screen or they over the telephone. There's some companies don't even talk to people. You know, they don't get to. But you know almost every one of your customers. You shake their hands, you hug their neck, you're all kinds of events. You're what I call the old way of doing business and making it work today. And I like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, don't get us wrong. I mean, we're all business owners here, and you wake up some days like, if I can just get through this one, I will probably be okay.
Oh yeah, we all have them days.
And but at the same time, you know, I think the key to all of our success in any form we get it in is value.
Yeah.
You know, we're not just we tell everybody we're not here to sell you products We're here to bring value to you. We're here to help solve problems.
Yeah.
What complications are you dealing with? And even when you sell ice and water, we're really kind of a safety company because we're keeping people safe from falling out, dehydration. So we actually go out and do safety training for them. Mr. Termite,
I've been a part of it.
And
going to be more.
And going to be more. So, we're bringing value to our customers. We're not, we're trying to find out what can we do to assist you. We go to their safety meetings to figure out what things are happening. So it doesn't all mean ice and water. But you will find a challenge that they're working with that you can almost start to associate something that you could help with.
And it sounds so basic, but I think people lose it really easily too. Bring value.
Bring value.
That's it. But people get caught up in marketing and how do you do this? Just bring value.
Yes.
That's it.
And I think, and just being honest, do what you say what you do.
That's right.
And don't overpromise and underdeliver. And again, I think leadership in a lot of big companies, which are great, they employ hundreds of thousands of people. I don't think they have the relationships that they need with their customer base. It has really turned into a national, global type thing. No one really knows anybody anymore.
Isn't that a fact?
I think we've lost a lot.
Yeah,
I think we have. I'm not going to be the size of those companies, but I'm okay with that. I would rather have it to be what we want it to be.
Yeah.
You've shared with me a lot of things just from us talking. You helping me with our business, the marketing side, and I think you said a few years ago you had this big shift of now we're going to grow this thing, and you really went full in on different events. And like you said, bringing value, you're connecting more with the community is kind of how I boiled that down to. Tell us a little bit more about advice for folks that want to grow their own business, to get more involved and plugged in. It takes some money, it takes energy, and I've seen you. It seems like every event I went to, I saw you there. So you are just very, very engaged.
Well, I have a lot of support. We've got wonderful people that work for us. I have incredible sales girl that just, I come up with crazy ideas and she tells me, hold up, let me put some
Let me hear one of the crazy ideas.
Yeah, just, I'll say, well, hey, we go to all the, I think to understand your customer, you got to get in their backyard.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so you got to understand what their challenges are, what their corporation initiatives are, what are they wanting to see. And so we're a large bottled water supplier. And all we hear from our chemical plants, which is the craziest thing, they make the plastic for the water bottles, right? Well, they're like, well, we got to clean the water bottles up because it looks bad on TV, And the crazy idea is I said, well, wait a minute, we're a large seller of bottled water, then we need to recycle it. We'll come to your place and pick the bottles up, recycle it. We're going to partner with the people, we're going to sell it, and then the profits out of those sales are going to go back into the work craft.
Yeah.
Young kids trying to get in the industry.
Yeah. That don't sound so crazy to me.
No, but when you start trying to implement it, it gets a little crazy.
A little bit difficult.
Yeah.
And it's some of the marketing things that I'll say, no, we're going to go out there and do this, and they're like, we've never seen that before. Some of the event stuff, and I'm like, no, we're going to go over. We're going to go overboard.
Oh, you go overboard. I've been to your events. They're fun. They're fun.
I think the key is for us is we have identified the customer base. We identified what's important to them. Some of those people are always involved in chamber of commerce or associations. You attend those things, you're going to run into them. But when they start to see your involvement and your understanding of what their needs are, what their challenges are, and you're trying to find ways to get there or assist with that in any way that you can, that your company fits in, they start to understand this is not a guy just trying to sell products. He's really trying to make things better.
It's a two-way street. They say it's a two-way street.
It is, and it's a commitment up front because trust is earned. And nowadays we live in a world that trust is pretty hard to get. Not all people are out there doing good things.
It's very superficial.
That's right.
And that takes time. And I think that's where the commitment and the investment is. And I tell everybody it's really an investment in yourself. It looks like you may be buying advertising. You may be doing other things. But that investment is in you.
That's right.
It may be going to someone else for a period of time, but it's really you and what you make of it. And I think that's how you handle yourself in those collective situations. And it's not a fast road.
So, Scott,
That's the part. It's not fast. Yeah.
So, what is your biggest market? And tell us about the different markets so that people are out there. If they hear you, maybe they'll call you because you're in their market. What are your different markets?
So, really, it's broken down to two are almost kind of seem similar. I say commercial and industrial. The industrial market is our biggest market. That is the operators and owners of the chemical facilities, refining facilities. Those people that are working inside there, along with the contractors that are working for them, that are fabrication, tank cleaning, anything that drives people into the facility to go to work. That's what we really label the industrial market. And then a lot of that's not only, it's just not inside the fence line, it's outside the fence line because, these guys got fabricating shops, lay down yards that are outside those properties. So they may start there in the morning and disperse into many facilities and locations. Job sites. So we're usually taking care of them inside and outside. And then the commercial market is what I call people that are building water facilities, treatment plants, things like that, high rises. And then we do, I guess you could throw pipeline could kind of be either work, commercial, industrial. And then we do a little bit of retail work. In fact, the guy that put me in the ice business 33 years ago, I still have that business today.
Wow. Now I know time is counting down, and I want to get a couple more things in. You've got a couple of different things besides just ice and water. I know you've got it deals with ice, but I've been out to the plants myself and seen the big containers of ice. We've had them at the boxing matches.
Yes.
We've had the little stations. Tell us a little bit about some of the different things that you have.
Yeah, so ice and water are the two core products, but it's how do you get that to the people? And so there are different methods. Traditional method is you see a box outside a convenience store or a grocery store. They would generally put product in there and they would go by and retrieve that and take it to the facility. With all these capital projects where there's 6,000 to 10,000 men, they're building one from ground up, and we've done the majority of these. They're all over the place. They're in multi levels, sometimes 6, 8, 10 stories up. So we have a couple things that are like just picture our large Yeti cooler that's forklift compatible and crane compatible. So they will load ice and water down just like you would an ice chest, and these things are hoisted in the air and drop down into different levels. So hydration is not having to be carried up the stairs. Heavy.
The logistics, the basic logistics is a
basic
challenge.
logistics. So this puts, and there's 500 bottles of water in these things. There's two sizes, one's 500, one's 250. So you can get a lot of product to someone very quickly. They're not driving around in a pickup with 100 ice chests on it anymore trying to unload it. These things can be moved in minutes. As the footprint and the workforce moves down, forklifts or cranes can access that, move that to them immediately. So you're not waiting for someone to come assist you to get product out there. That's one of the newest things we got. That's been very, very helpful in that. They like that because it really has cut down on time and manpower to try to move this stuff around to keep everybody safe. And then we've gotten into electrolytes and things like that, and then we go out and teach people what electrolytes
This is
work
where I
for
was
you.
trying to get you
Right.
to talk
Natural
on. Yeah, that's what
electrolytes.
I'm full
The
of.
educational side.
The educational side. So it's not just what we sell. We're trying to tell them, hey, if you get up in the morning and you're drinking coffee or some type of energy drink, you didn't eat breakfast, you didn't have these natural, you're behind. You're dehydrated on the way to work. Then you go out there in fire retardant clothing. It's 100 degrees. No little to no wind in some of these structures. Then your chances of having a heat incident have increased substantially because you truly are dehydrated when you showed up. You're behind, and you should be prepping well ahead of the game.
Dehydrated because you're going to get more dehydrated.
Exactly, and that's the key. Life's busy, and you've got a lot of older guys. I've been doing it for 20 years. Don't tell me what to do.
Right.
And then you got a lot of young guys that think they're Superman,
Invincible. Yeah.
and everybody's in trouble. We're on medications. Houston allergies, and then some of us are pre-diabetic or diabetic. You add all that stuff in your body. We're not the athletes you see on TV, except you, Mr. Termite, that are on the Gatorade commercials.
Yeah.
Our clientele base looks a little different than that football
They're
player
sweating
base,
just the same, if not more.
but they're sweating, and so that's where they get in trouble. So our goal is to prevent that.
Well, we're about to wrap it up. What would you want to say to people out there? Some advice for anybody wanting to start a business to overcome some challenges. What message would you want to get across?
And then also leave them one more time how they can get in touch with
All right.
Coastal Ice and Water.
I'm going to say, if you really want to do it, and it's probably going to take more from you than you want to give, but if you have that in you, you're probably not going to be happy until you go do it.
Yeah.
Now, you might run into some complications, but all I can tell you is just never stop. Never
stop.
stop.
If you
Believe
get
in your
knocked down,
dream.
get up.
Don't
You get
stop.
knocked down, get up, wipe it off, and understand that, you know what, you're not the only one that's going through that.
Awesome.
But if it's really in you and that's what you believe in, you're going to be a success. And in different, the success is different levels. Some's financially, some is personally, doesn't matter. But if you have it in you, you're not going to be happy until you go try it.
I like it.
If they wanted to get in touch with you directly or Monica to come speak at a school or at a high rise or whatever, because they've got an incredible safety talk that they do, how would they get in touch with you? And then we'll end it.
Yeah, our landline is 281-812-1067, and our website is coastal-ice.com.
And you're on LinkedIn, the other platforms as well. So.
Correct. You reach out to us. We want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Scott. We're going to wrap it up with
We're
our...
going to wrap it around. Scott, one of the things we do is we what you've had me go do, talk to people about keeping their guard
Your
up.
guard up.
I've done this for you many a time.
So we end every show with keeping our guard up.
So-
Look at the camera.
So
Keep
we'll
our guard
just,
up.
everybody keep your guard up.